And within the span of like 2 weeks, I found out I got into Juilliard and I booked a lead role on the next step. And it was sort of like, I talk about like pings from the universe that sort of were like, med school? No, and like guided me a completely different path.
So in this episode, I sit down with the incredibly talented Brennan Clost. Brennan started out as a dancer. He went to Juilliard for dance and has since transitioned into acting in films like Loathe, Neighbour, Fear Street Prom Queen, The Legend of Cloudy Falls. He's having an incredible year, and I was really excited to sit down with him. Hi, Brennan.
Hi.
It's so nice that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
I first want to just congratulate you on this pretty incredible year that you're having.
Thank you.
Fear Street, Loathe Thy Neighbor, Legend of Cloudy Falls, all basically coming out within a few months of each other.
Yeah.
And you popped up on Overcompensating too.
Yeah.
How has that been? Like just getting to see all of your work come out at the same time?
Good, really good. Yeah, I mean, and like, you always have a certain sort of like memory capsule of what it feels like to shoot a project. So it's always hard when it comes out because months of shooting get distilled down into like an hour of television or an hour of a movie. So it's always very like nostalgic, especially like The Legacy of Cloudy Falls we shot in 2022. It was like years ago and it only just then came out and I saw it for the first time. And yeah, so it's very like confronting with nostalgia and like past emotions and remembering all the things that happened on set. And I'm pretty good about watching myself now too. I've done it long enough that now I'm not too sensitive when I watch myself. I don't get too in my head, but yeah, it was just exciting.
It was probably a lot of watching yourself.
It was a lot this year, yeah.
I mean,
which is the dream. It's like what, actors work towards to have some
Absolutely.
like sense of momentum.
And three very different projects too. Like Fear Street's a Netflix movie, which is wild, and congratulations. And then two like really great Canadian indies.
Yeah. Well, and like, I feel like I was kind of checking things off my actor bucket list this year. Like horror movie, check. Decapitated, check. Legacy of Cloudy Falls, I worked with a dialect coach for the first time, worked in an accent, like check. And then Loathe Thy Neighbour was my first time producing, and that felt like a huge accomplishment, huge bucket list item for me.
And you got to work with Lauren Holly, who, I mean, just like growing up with Dumb and Dumber, it's just like, she's such an icon.
And has become such a good friend of mine over the years. We worked together on Tiny Pretty Things, was the first project we did, but we never had, we had scenes together, but never like one-on-one. We had meetings with the showrunner at the end of the first season, and both of us separately, we talked about it after, had said to him, he's like, what do you hope for if we get a season 2? And both Lauren and I were like, I would like a scene. I was like, I want a scene with Lauren, and Lauren's like, I want a scene with Brennan. And then we didn't get a second season, very sadly, but so then we made this project.
You did get a movie where you have many scenes.
Many scenes together, yeah.
And I didn't realize she's kind of like an unofficial Canadian.
Yeah.
That she sort of lives in the GTA and...
Yeah, she moved here early 2000s and raised her kids here and fell in love with Canada. And
I mean, good for her.
Yeah, she's an honorary Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the flip side of what a lot of people do, which I've read that you sort of talked about a bit. The great Canadian way, quote unquote, is if you start to have achievements in your fields, you leave and you go to LA.
Yeah, you like graduate from Canada and move to Hollywood.
Which is something you're not doing sort of actively. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that thought process and what you think about sort of that whole situation? Because I also feel like things have changed a lot in the last 10 years in terms of like, maybe there's other reasons you don't want to go to America now,
I mean, yes. And it's sort of always been, it's not that I haven't considered it. And I went to university in New York City, and there was an option for me to like tack on, I forget what the actual like title of the visa was, but it was like tack on a work visa to my student visa. And I opted not to do it, partly because like I was really homesick. I'm really close to my family and I really missed my family and wanted to move back home. And I was transitioning out of dance and really focusing in film and TV, and I went to university for dance, so the visa would have been tied to that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's, like divine intervention or what it is. I like little pings from the universe, but like every time I get my package ready to submit, COVID hits, or the Hollywood strikes hit in 2023, or Trump gets elected, and I'm like, maybe I'll wait. Maybe it's not the right time. And I've been fortunate to keep working here in Canada and be really busy. And the longer that that's gone on, the more I've sort of realized it's a shame that so many great Canadian talents leave and make great work, but in the States, rather than like bringing it back home and making it here and building the Canadian industry to stand on its own. And I think especially with the Hollywood strikes, it was a bit of a wake-up call for me that like, everything dried up in Canada too, even though we weren't on strike here.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a like, I think Canada now is waking up to that and realizing like, we need to be our own entity separate from our neighbors.
Yeah.
And the film and TV industry, I'm like hoping that, people my generation can like build it up so that it can stand on its own.
Well, perhaps sort of this era of not quite loathing our neighbor, but certainly not loving our neighbor is gonna sort of create an opportunity for people like you to stay here and feel fulfilled and make enough money, and all of these things that were like a lot of the reasons
Totally.
why people go. And it's like it's a wild world. We don't know what's going to happen, and I just feel like I feel
exactly.
safer here.
Me too.
Good.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about,
Obviously.
you said you went to university in the States, which is very modest of you because you went to Juilliard.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Burlington to Juilliard pipeline, I'm assuming you're the only one who's taken that pipeline?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's a well-traveled pipeline.
It's definitely not a well-traveled pipeline. Anyway, congratulations on that
Thank you.
happening. So you went to Juilliard for dance.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience? Because that must have been like wild.
It was wild, and it was really not anything I ever planned to do. I really was like a math and science kid in high school and thought I was going to be a doctor, and that was where my focus was. And I applied to schools in Canada for like biochem, thought I was going to pursue that route. And my mom, who I'm really close with, she's my best friend, like knew my heart of hearts, and I think knew that I'd be really upset if I stopped dancing after high school. And so kind of spoke with my dance teacher, and my dance teacher was also a really important figure for me, and sort of encouraged me to audition for dance schools. And my mom then put together this like file folder of research for schools in the States, Juilliard being one of them. I knew friends of mine that I had grown up competing against here that went to that school, but it was sort of like the infamous Juilliard, like it was in movies.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm not gonna get in there. They only accept 12 men and 12 women each year, and they have over 700 applicants just to the dance program every year. I was like, those odds are crazy, I'm not gonna get in. But I thought the audition would be a really cool opportunity.
Absolutely.
And just like a cool dancer bucket list. I talk about like bucket list things all the time. Like I love collecting, you know, like unique life experiences. I thought, okay, I'll go to New York, my parents would come with me. And then kind of upon being there and making it cut after cut after cut, I started to realize, I think, how much I actually wanted it. I left that day, you don't know if you get in, but I left that day having made it through the whole round of auditions. There were 75 of us at the beginning of the day. By the end of all the cuts, there were 4 of us. I was like, whoa, that was crazy. Like, that was a good boost of confidence, but you don't know if you get in after that. You're sort of in their like final pool. And then I was re-auditioning for the first TV show I ever worked on, The Next Step, and it had just gotten picked up to series. And within the span of like 2 weeks, I found out I got into Juilliard, and I booked a lead role on The Next Step. And it was sort of like, I talk about like pings from the universe that sort of were like, med school? No, and like guided me a completely different path that I never could have planned for. And I'm really grateful, obviously, that it all happened.
Yeah, but
and,
I mean, it's pretty incredible. Like, I mean, also just even you saying like biochem or Juilliard, like, not too many people ever end up with having either of those options, let alone both. That's really wild. And it seems like it must have been an experience that really sort of will guide you going forward, because it's like you learn a lot when you're in that kind of a competitive sort of process to get something like that.
Oh yeah. I always talk about Juilliard. It was really intense. It was everything you might imagine it was, and as difficult and challenging and intense as it also was such an incredible, changing, positive thing for me. I came out while I was at Juilliard, and that was like really important to my journey, and being in a place where I was surrounded by lots of other queer people was like really important for me as a young person. So completely changed me as a person, and obviously as an artist as well.
And I can't believe you were doing The Next Step and Juilliard at the same time.
Yeah, it was like my summer job is how I talk about it. And my friends at Juilliard like didn't really get it because it wasn't airing in the States at the time. It was only airing on Family Channel here. Rest in peace, Family Channel.
Yeah.
And Disney Channel in like the UK and Australia, but not in the States at the time. So they didn't get it. They like teased me that I was doing this like kids Disney Channel show, but it was my way to pay for Juilliard and my introduction to the film and TV industry. And I fell in love with acting because of the show. I had like done some theater in high school, but nothing to the same capacity. And
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that's where sort of acting became like, oh, this is what I want to do.
yeah, I was getting like the stark contrast between like a concert dance conservatory training program all year at school and what your day would kind of look like. Like if I joined a dance company, as Juilliard kind of like intends, that's how my day would look, like ballet class in the morning, rehearsal all day, you know, that kind of thing. And then in the summers I was getting film and TV film camp, and just fell in love with like how a set operates, and I felt really celebrated as like a young performer on a set in the way that I never really did in like the ballet world. Ballet feels like you can only fit into this little box versus like film, and especially The Next Step really celebrated people being themselves and bringing whatever was unique about them to the table, and I really gravitated towards that, and was the only one in my class that didn't audition for dance companies.
Okay.
In our 4th year, I was sort of like the black sheep of my Juilliard class and decided I was going to do film and TV, and they were like, what are you even going to do in film and TV? My classmates, they were so like, you must join a dance company. And I was like, well, I'm going to do films and I'm gonna do TV. Like it's in the name.
And it worked out.
And it has worked out, yeah.
What do you find sort of like uniquely challenging about each, like dance versus acting, for example?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you know what? The more time I invest as an actor, there's way more crossover than I kind of thought initially. Like I think when I started making the real conscious transition from only dancing to being like a dancer actor, and there was a while where I was like, I'm not even a dancer, I'm only an actor. Like that felt important to really like self-identify in that way. But the more time I've gone on, the more tools from my Juilliard training or my upbringing as a competitive dancer transfer over into acting. They're way more similar than I think I realized. But the biggest thing has been like finding confidence in my voice. As a dancer, like you don't speak, right? Like you're just quiet in rehearsal all the time.
I mean, you speak.
You speak with your body,
yeah.
But using my voice, which was something I got bullied for growing up, having a lisp. It was a thing that like talent agents, when I met with them in high school, were like, oh, do you have a wire behind your braces? Like, you have a bit of a lisp. And it was just a real insecurity of mine.
That's also horrible they did that to you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I would never do that to a kid.
You have a great voice.
Thank you. So that was one thing, is like acting really has given me confidence in using my voice and tools to work on my voice or change my voice depending on the character, the role, or what it calls for. Like I said, working with a dialect coach, like that's all been very new and exciting. And
I'm sure it like helps to have the dance on your CV, like in case, you know, there's a movie where you are gonna do a bunch of dancing.
Hopefully, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even I always get complimented on like blocking. Like directors love me because I'm like on the mark, choreographed always. Like that just comes second nature. Or like prop work is just like, I'm very in my body. I mean, I even talk with my hands like crazy. It's like tuck them away.
do it all you want.
You know, yeah, like my dance, I'm just in my physical body, I think. And that's something that some actors have to work for, and I'm lucky that it's just a part of me because of dance.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you went through some pretty intensive training, so it makes sense that you would be trained.
Yeah.
I'm curious, sort of what the dream is, like from here. Like if you just want to like go big picture, like what is something you really want to happen in, say, the next 5 years?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question too. I've been like thinking a lot on that this summer. I obviously want to keep dancing, keep acting. I love performing, but I think there's been like a glimmer in my heart for a while to make my own work. And Loathe, Neighbour was my first time producing, but it wasn't really like my baby in a way that like I think that's what I want to make next, is a show that takes pieces of my personal experience and weaves them into like an entertaining piece of television or film, but that has more of like a little Brennan's heart baked in there. I think that's feeling like it's really important for me to make for myself, and I think it would be an important thing to share. I've been working on that, writing and figuring out what exactly that project would look like. Is there dance involved? I'm sure in some way, but yeah, just something that can live as like my baby project that I would love to eventually like be the showrunner on, maybe act on as well. And maybe, hopefully it comes sooner than I'm thinking. I'm like, you know, in my head, like in the next 10 years, but hopefully it's in the next like couple of years.
I mean, you have a lot of time.
Yeah, plenty of time, yeah.
But it'll be really, the Canadian film and television industry will be very lucky to have whatever projects you do end up putting forth into our world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's been so nice chatting with you.
This has been really nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, I knew you were going to be really thoughtful and really kind, and it was even more than I expected, so
Very
thank
sweet.
you. Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody seeks out all of your projects, but in particular,
yeah, you can find Fear Street Prom Queen on Netflix.
Prom Queen, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Fear Street Prom Queen, Legacy of Cloudy Falls is on VOD, and Loathe, Neighbour will be coming to streaming soon. I'm like, do I do a leg? Do I, no.
Whatever you want, I mean.
No, I'll just sit nice. I know, I was gonna like.